winners? Let the pros show you how to make money. General Manager Al DeMarco, a regular contributor on Fox Sports, MSNBC, and Comcast Sports TV, brings over 25 years of handicapping experience to the table. CEO Steve Budin, the author of Bets, Drugs, and Rock and Roll, is the man responsible for creating the online betting industry. Together, they lead PickNation.com, your number one source for winners.
You are watching Pick Nation Report. This is the second half hour of the program as we continue to break down all your games from a point spread perspective, the only pregame show to do so, covering the NFL action each and every Sunday. I'm Al DeMarco, along with Steve Budin. I've been a handicapper for 25 years now, which tells me that I've been doing this way too long.
Absolutely.
But, it's an addiction, let me tell you. But the key is, we talk about the gambling aspect of it. Listen, if it's done in moderation, it's done for entertainment, and that's really what it is. If you've got the money to play, and it's not money that you need to pay your rent, to pay mortgage, to put money on the table, to buy your kids Christmas gifts, it is no different. I've always had the attitude that if you go out on a date, you go out to dinner, you go to the movies, you go out for a couple of drinks afterwards, you're blowing a couple $100. I mean, you go to a game. I don't care what game, what stadium you go to. You go to a game, get a couple of good tickets, you are spending $300-400. And, you don't get any return.
Admitting your addiction in any 12-step program, admitting your addiction is always the first step. So we've broken ground today. Mom, if you're watching, big things could happen after this.
But I'll tell you what, though, the deal is, though, at least when you sit at home or you're at the sports book in Vegas, you watch these games and you invest that money, you've got a chance to make money. And really, I've always looked at our profession as no differently than when I go to my brokerage and I'm talking to the broker about which fund to invest in or which stock to buy.
Right.
He analyzes the stocks and the funds. He makes an educated decision on what he thinks is going to make me money, and then he gives it to me. And there's no guarantees.
Well, let me tell you, there's
no difference.
Right, there's a couple of things that men love to do. Gambling is.
We can only talk about some of them on TV,
though. So you got in quick that time.
I just wanted to make sure.
You didn't know where I was going.
Yes.
But gambling is one of them. And if you look at, on a serious level, if you look at all the types of gambling entertainment options that are available to you, actually, the sports betting option is the least degenerative of all of them. And I've been in the business 25 years. I've been a bookmaker before, so I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. Less than 1% of all the gamblers I've ever dealt with had a problem, and in knowing those people, they would have a problem with something no matter what. It's in their DNA. If it wasn't gambling, they'd be seeking to destroy their lives in one way or another. Actually, when you look at the average bet made on a football game on the internet, it's right around $20. It's really the cost of a movie. And I would ask everyone, when was the last time they went to a movie and left the theater with more money than they went into the theater with? Never.
And that's the key. It's a 50-50 proposition. I don't care what game you're betting on, whether you're on the dog or the favorite, it's a 50-50 proposition. And again, I'm watching that game for the sheer entertainment value of it. But at the same time, I've got a chance to make money on the game. So what am I losing here? It really isn't. And again, it's all done in moderation. And you can't be an action junkie. What's an action junkie? A guy who, if there's 13 games on the board's got to bet 14. I mean, you just can't go crazy. I used to be, when I was very young, in college, even in high school, to be honest, an action junkie. I then learned that mathematically, the odds are stacked against you the more games you play. You've got to be selective.
And winning is more fun than losing. And I can tell you, Al, 8 winning football seasons in a row for you. You do a lot more winning than losing. Me in the same way. 4 years now, ahead of the man, well over 700 times. So we're obviously doing something right here. It's not just entertainment. There's a little extra special sauce on it.
Hey, we're going to head back to the phones as promised and pick up with James, who's calling us from Richmond, Virginia. How you doing, James?
Great. How you guys doing?
Good. What game did you want to hit on?
The Colts Raiders.
Good game.
Very good game.
Take on that.
Well, I'm just curious, before we give you our take, what do you like in the game? Do you like the Colts laying the 3 points here coming off the consecutive wins, or are you drinking the Oakland Raiders Kool-Aid here?
Oakland still, they're much better than everybody thought they'd be, but they're still not impressing me, and I'm not willing to go against Peyton with the season on the line. He's still got a chance at the playoffs here, and I'll put my faith into him.
And what the caller is talking about is no different than every single gambler across the country is feeling right now. They're all just more than willing and ready to jump on this Indianapolis train after the win. It was a must-win last week. They're calling it a must-win this week. But the truth is that the odds makers are no dummies.
They're making you pay for that.
They know that, and they're making you lay 3 points in Oakland here. Look, in my opinion, the true value here is Oakland plus the field goal at home if you have the cojones to go against Indianapolis at this time of the year in December.
And listen, Peyton Manning has not been a moneymaker this year. I think they've only covered 3 of their last 7 games off the top of my head. And, let's also, I mentioned in the beginning of the show, I used to be a sports reporter, so I look at teams and personnels and the matchups. It doesn't hide the fact that even though Indianapolis has won 2 straight games, this Colts team cannot stop the run. They come into this weekend ranked 28th in the league at stopping the run. They're giving up 4.7 yards per carry. Forget about that they're giving up 136 rushing yards a game. 4.7 yards per carry is the key number. You've got Michael Bush and Darren McFadden, who's had a great year for the Raiders, and you've got an Oakland team that I believe is ranked 3rd in the league at running the ball. Well, the Raiders aren't going to come out and let Jason Campbell throw the ball 40 times. And the best offense and the best defense against Indianapolis is keeping Peyton on the bench, having long time-consuming drives.
Ball control.
Exactly. So, it's a difficult game, but as you said, it's one of these marquee games. We've talked about it many times. Marquee games are the hardest to win because the lines are sharpest, and in the public money teams, the Colts, the Steelers, the Cowboys when they're playing well, the Eagles, the Giants, the Chargers, the Saints, you're always paying a premium.
100%. So take the points here, guys.
Next, we go to Mike, who's calling us from Long Island. Wants to talk a little Jets and the Bears. I guess all you Jets fans, you're off suicide watch after they pulled the stunning upset of the Steelers last week.
Yeah. We needed that win.
Badly.
Yeah. What do you think about the game this week?
Well, as I mentioned on the show last week, Rex Ryan is a big fan of the show. And, I told him last week that he needs to get back online, at the Wendy's, get himself a Frosty, start eating. And he looked a little heavier on the sidelines. He may have been listening to me.
I think you weren't watching in high def.
And maybe it's the cold weather, a couple of extra layers. I'm not sure. But he may be stretching that stomach back out. And I think that the Jets, they didn't play great. But what they did do was give themselves a chance to win. It almost looked like the Jets of last year instead of the Jets of this year, in that they called a type of game where they just wanted to have a chance at the end to win and leave it in their defense's hands. That's what they did. I was impressed by them, but I was more unimpressed with Pittsburgh than I was impressed with the Jets.
Absolutely, because when you look at the box score of that game, you're going to find that the Steelers outgained the Jets 371 yards to 276. So almost 30% more total yardage. And then you look at some of the questionable play calling by the Steelers. Mike Tomlin was questioned about it after the game. Rashard Mendenhall was just finding all types of holes in this New York Jets defense. 17 carries, 100 yards, but his number just wasn't called that much. And, they were also, the Steelers, not playing with Troy Polamalu. And the difference between when Troy is in there and when Troy is out is like night and day. I mean, they're 14-4 with him. The Steelers were the past 2 years going into that game, and coming out of that game, they're 5-7 without him in the lineup the past 2 years. So that tells you the impact that he has on them. The things going against the Bears. They're coming off a Monday night road win. Albeit not a long road trip, hopping over from Chicago to Minneapolis, but still a road win. But more importantly, it's a short week of preparation. But listen, the Bears have been playing great ball. They've won 6 of their last 7 games. They are now going for a first-round bye in the postseason. Forget about wrapping up a division title. First-round bye means the world of difference between these teams in the postseason. So, it's a difficult game. I lean a little toward the Bears in this game, and I'm kind of surprised that they're not getting the respect of being asked to lay 3 points as the home chalk, but it goes into what you were just saying. The Jets, everybody remembers what happened last week. They don't remember this Jets team that looked horrific against Miami, that got pancaked by New England. Instead, they think, Jets just beat the Steelers.
They're back.
Right, so instead of the Bears being a 3-point chalk like they should be, they're only laying 1. And to me, this is a trap. This reminds me of Bears when they hosted the Eagles. They were getting 3.5 points, and they dominated the game.